All right, well, we kind of going to do this video a little bit backwards because I had done my top 5 running back rankings a couple days ago. I'll put the link down in the description, and I got a few different requests to say, okay, let's see numbers 6 through 10. So moving forward, when I do these positional group rankings, I'll either do 6 through 10 first, or I'll just present my full 1 through 10. Just really wanted to take some time on it because, to be honest with you, ranking number 6 through 10 on this running back room was a lot more difficult than my top 5. So we're going to recap the full 1 through 10 of the running back rankings for the 2025 NFL draft. Obviously, this is pre-combine. We'll do it for all major positional groups before the combine. And then if we have to make any changes or adjustments post-combine, not a problem. We will go ahead and do all of that. So I appreciate y'all tuning in, man. If you guys love NFL draft content, if you love Denver sports, hit that subscribe button. It really helped me out. If you like the video, and hit me up in the comments, man. I'm making this video because it was a suggestion in the comments, and I love that. So please keep them coming. I'd be more than happy to do it. So let's go ahead, guys, and give the recap of my top 5. All right, first and foremost, number 1, no doubt about it, it was Ashton Genty. We talked about it, just a generational talent. He's going to be something extremely special, okay? Now, when you're going into my number 2 rankings, number 2 was my boy, Trevion Henderson. I love everything about this guy. And just again, to recap what I'm talking about, when I do rankings, I talk about what I believe are going to be running backs that can have an instant impact. That's going to always give a little bit of a bump. Somebody that can come in, be very pro ready, and have a really good, long, sustained career. There's going to be a lot of guys that you'll see in 6 through 10 that could really be great running backs. I just don't see the skill set for them to be so good right off of the bat, or maybe just the film doesn't show enough because it's a very difficult position to be able to evaluate. Given, some offensive lines are just great. But Trevion Henderson, man, he's my locked-in number 2, no doubt about it. I think he's so unbelievably well-rounded. He can do everything. He can pass protect extremely well. He's a very good receiver out of the backfield. He's incredibly explosive. I think he has probably the best lateral agility in this class, and he can take it to the crib anytime he touches the ball. And he's got decent size. At 5'10", 209, he's compact. He packs a punch. I think if medicals go well, he's going to crush it at the combine, and I think he can easily be the number 2 back taken in the NFL draft. All right, going forward. Oops, sorry, guys. I'm messing this thing up already. So number 3 that I had in my rankings was Omarion Hampton. Another guy, like I said, I think his skill set just translates so well into the NFL. He's a big body guy, physical runner. Contact balance is fantastic. And he made a lot of plays out of nothing. There were so many times where there really wasn't much there, and he would still be able to turn like a negative yard run or a no gain into a 4 or 5 yard run. That translates, I think, really well into the NFL. So I love his game. I think he's unbelievably talented. And just a house, man. I mean, he's 6 foot 220, but he runs even bigger. Very, very difficult to bring down. So I really digged his game. Number 4, and if y'all seen the channel, you guys know how I feel about him. This is one of my favorite players in the draft. I think he's extremely underrated, but he's someone that without a doubt is going to be talked about a lot more as the combine approaches and ultimately as the draft. LaQuint Allen from Syracuse, still a very young prospect, very raw in the running back room, which I think teams are going to love. But he can come in and instantly impact NFL teams because of his elite ability to catch the ball out of the backfield. He's an amazing receiver. And he's actually shown some promise in terms of a pass protector, but he's a great runner, runs with violence. He likes to finish runs, much more difficult to bring down, even though he looks slender. My comparison to him was he kind of runs upright. He runs upright, but very physical, kind of like an Isaiah Pacheco type, but he's not as physical of a runner, but he can also catch the ball uber well. So, someone else that I kind of compare him to, he's got some Aaron Jones in his game. As well. I really just love how natural he is in terms of catching the ball out of the backfield. So really, really fun player there to watch, no doubt about it. And then to round out my top 5, like I said, I put the full description and full breakdowns of all these guys in the video previously. But my number 5 was Devin Neal. It's crazy, man. The more I watch this guy, there's a lot of people comparing him to Alvin Kamara. I can see a lot of that. I really can see a lot of Alvin Kamara. He's a really fun talent. And as I said prior, I didn't have this updated. So he's bigger than the 6 foot 202. He's 5'11", and he's about 215, but he can run the ball extremely well. He's his vision is fantastic, and he can catch the ball very sneaky good out of the backfield. I just think he's extremely well-rounded. I love the kind of player he was, the kind of captain and leader he was there for Kansas. So he is going to be my number 5 back. All right, so we already reviewed that. Let's get into number 6 through 10 and round this up. And like I said, guys, this was very, very tough, very difficult for me. But the running back that I have at number 6 is Quinshon Judkins, the big bowling ball running back out of Ohio State. He was obviously sharing the backfield with Trevion Henderson. He's very good in a sense of he's very difficult to bring down. He runs extremely aggressively. He's got a really good mix of speed and agility and obviously power. For somebody his size, he can really move. And he's shown an ability to catch the ball pretty decently out of the backfield. It was a little bit of an underwhelming season for him, given that he came from Ole Miss. But in a backfield by committee role, he can make the most out of his touches like he did. But as the lead back, he can do it too. I mean, looking at his numbers when he was at Ole Miss for the 2 years prior, he was a workhorse back there, and he went over 1,500 yards as a freshman with 16 touchdowns, and then he went over 1,100 yards as a sophomore with 15 touchdowns that year. So he's shown that he can do it really well in as the main guy there in Ole Miss, still playing in the SEC then. So I think that those 2 years in Ole Miss are going to be really big for a player like him. And then when he came into Ohio State, he still did a really good job of being able to make the most out of his opportunities. Averaged over 5 yards a carry, the 14 touchdowns. He's a very good goal line back. So he can come in and contribute to an NFL team, I think, right away. For somebody his size, his pass protection is pretty bad, but it's more technique rather than will and want to. So you're going to be able to work from that a little bit. But he can help a team. He's a really impressive player. I liked what I saw from him a lot. So I put him there. I put him over the number 7 guy, which is Caleb Johnson. I put him over Caleb Johnson because I feel like I saw more, like especially in Ole Miss, I seen him be able to create and make the most out of nothing a lot more than I did with Caleb Johnson. Not saying Caleb Johnson can't do it, and this one really might bite me in the ass because he had incredible numbers when he was in Iowa, and he does have all the talent. I mean, and when I watch him run, just his sheer running style, very, very smooth. Reminds me so much of Saquon Barkley. He really does in terms of the way his style of running. Am I saying he's Saquon? No. But I think he idolizes him a lot too because he even does a lot of the Saquon celebrations in the end zone. But a really smooth, buttery athlete. But it was just so tough to evaluate him because Iowa's offensive line was so dominant in so many games. So he really had a lot more space to just operate with, more than you would think. But that doesn't necessarily think that I don't feel like he can be a really good elite running back. I think the combine is going to be huge for him, as it will be for the next guys on this list. If he goes out there and he crushes it in the combine and he looks, buttery smooth and his lateral agility is the testing numbers are really good there, he's going to fly up draft boards because teams love guys that are 6 foot, 225 and can move. His home run speed is good enough. It's not elite, but he's got adequate enough speed for a guy his size, no doubt about it. So curious to see, what he's going to test out as. I think teams are really going to see what he can do as a pass catcher out of the backfield. And as a pass protector, I think he's got all the tools to be able to be good there. So I put Caleb Johnson from Iowa at number 6. And it was tough because it was between him and Quinshon. I think you could have flipped them back and forth. But Quinshon's consistency, his longevity, doing it a couple years prior at Ole Miss, that's what made me put him a little bit over him at number 6. All right, number 8. This is somebody that I think the combine is going to be absolutely huge for, and that is Damien Martinez. He caught my eye a lot when I was doing the film review on Elijah Arroyo, who I love. I'm still putting some more things together for him because he popped off at the Senior Bowl. But he's a really fluid athlete for someone that's an absolute house at 6 foot 232. He is extremely physical, but he can move, and his lateral agility is pretty impressive for a guy his size. So I really like this game. I thought that he was an impressive player. Somebody that I don't think we saw enough of him. I mean, he was kind of splitting the backfield a little bit when he was there in Miami, but I love his demeanor. I love his willingness to just eat contact, bounce off of guys. I really put him here because I think he's just so raw, and I think that there's so much more there. But he's going to be able to come in and just be a downhill runner, hit people in the mouth, type of physical player. He holds on to the ball well. He doesn't really have, many issues with how physical of a runner that he is, but he's got surprising speed for a man his size. So a running back that's 6 foot and 232, if he goes into the combine and he tests even like if he runs a 4.4 and he looks really good in like his 20-yard shuttles and some of the drills, he might really fly up some of these draft boards as well. And in addition to that, he doesn't have so much tread on the tire. So you're going to get a guy that's a little bit more fresh and that, can contribute. So he just popped, man. He looked good. He's elusive for someone his size. And I don't know what they're giving these guys down there in Miami, but they have so many players. Elijah Arroyo included, Xavier Restrepo, Damian Martinez, that these guys just love to play football, man. They're physical. They're fun to watch. And it's a really, really cool program. And I think Damian Martinez did a really good job there this last season. So curious to see what he can do, out of the backfield, catching the ball, but impressive player. Really liked him a lot at number 8. Now, number 9 is one of my favorite players in the draft. And I really could have put him as high as number 6. The only reason that I didn't is just because I didn't see enough of him to be like considered a well-rounded 3-down back in the NFL. I think he's somebody that he's going to start off his NFL career. He's absolutely going to make a team. Teams are going to love him. If you want him to play special teams, he's going to crush it. If you want him to, be an early down back, he's going to be physical and he's going to be really good in running back by committee early. But I think he can become a very good full-time 3-down back later. And that is my guy, Kyle Monangai out of Rutgers. One of the funnest people to watch on film or even just his highlight videos. He's unbelievable, man. He's so fun to watch. He's 5'9", 209, which is really my preferred size for backs. I like guys that are shorter but stockier. This dude runs like he's a 250-pound running back. People think Cam Scatterbu was someone that would like run through people's face and was a physical running back, and he was. Kyle Monangai was probably even more than that. He would look to run through your soul. He's so fun. He's like a bowling ball. He bounces off a lot of these guys. Now, where is he lacking? He's not really the most special athlete. I mean, he's decently fast, but for somebody that his size, you would expect a little bit more. And his explosiveness is just like fine, but he's someone that will run right through your helmet. He's got a really, really good vision too, which is super helpful, obviously, in the NFL. And like I said, his quickness and his elusiveness is good enough. It's not elite, but I think it's good enough. But man, give this guy the ball. Like if he's your goal line back, you give this guy the ball inside the 5 or inside the 2, he's scoring, guaranteed. He is an unbelievable player. Runs with crazy physicality. A little bit of concerns are, is he going to be able to hold up with that frame, with that kind of running style in the NFL? That's something we'll have to see. But not just because his comp is Isaiah Pacheco, and it's not just because they both went to Rutgers. I mean, there's a very clear comparison, but just the way that he runs through people is really, really impressive. So you see a lot of Pacheco to his game, ain't no doubt about that. But he doesn't run as upright. His running style is a little bit different. So love this dude. Go check him out if you don't know who he is. He's a little bit of an older prospect too coming out, but man, he is fun. And number 10 was tough, guys. I could probably have a 10A and a 10B, to be honest with you. The reason I ended up going with Cam Scatterbu over Dylan Sampson is because I feel like Cam Scatterbu, you can see all aspects of his game. He's a very good receiver out of the backfield. And he's got, very good contact balance. He's someone that can really run through you and can contribute in a lot of different ways. And I really do believe in the NFL, he's going to be an elite special teams player that can contribute on offense as well. The reason I don't have him a lot higher is because I just don't necessarily know if he's somebody that his athletic deficiencies, I don't think, translate into the NFL, right? They had him listed at like 5'11". I think he's closer to like 5'8" or 5'9", maybe 200 pounds. So he's going to be a big guy to bring down, but he really doesn't have the twitchiness that you would like to see in the NFL. He wins on sheer grit and power and just will and want to. And that's why he was so fun to watch in college. Those guys, his game doesn't always translate that well into the NFL because you're going to be going up against a lot higher talent. You're going to be going up against guys that are going to have just as much, will and grit as you have, but that'll put you on your ass too. So is he going to have enough wiggle and enough elusiveness in his game to be able to survive in the NFL? Obviously, his contact balance in college was really good. If you're just relying on that strictly in the NFL, there might be some issues there, but there are going to be teams that fall in love with him, and fit is going to be huge. He goes to, Jim Harbaugh with the Chargers. It's going to be a phenomenal fit for him, right? He goes to, even the Rams, or he goes to Kyle Shanahan in the 49ers. It's going to be a really good fit for somebody like him. But it's all going to be dependent on fit for Cam Scatterbo. In terms of Dylan Sampson, who I did want to give an honorable mention to, there's a lot of hype around him. I just didn't necessarily see why. I thought he was good. Like, for a guy that's a little bit undersized, that's smaller, that relies more on his track speed as he does those things fine, but he doesn't do them that special. I didn't feel like his top end speed was nearly as good as people thought he was. His vision was inconsistent. There was times where he made some really good lateral moves, or some that he didn't. I did do a full film review on it, so you can check that out. I'll link that down below as well. But I wasn't overly impressed by Dylan Sampson. Now, I could be extremely wrong on him, because it seems like a lot of the other scouts and experts are much higher on him, and they have him for sure in their top 10 locked. I just feel like he's got a very big range of the kind of player that he can be, right? I can see him being like Devon Achane in the right offense, really contributing if he's used in a specific role. But I can also just see him being, someone that takes a few years to really even get going. Wasn't overly special. He doesn't have a trait of his that I think is really good, like really elite. I just think he's like average to good in most things. If he was someone that, shown that he can catch the ball out of the backfield and be a threat in the pass game, I would have probably bumped him up a lot. But for someone of his frame and his running style, he's kind of limited in terms of his skill set in the NFL. That's just how I feel. So you can rip me in the comments if you don't believe. So let me know what y'all think, man. I'm curious to know how y'all feel about my top 10, just to give you, an overall breakdown of that. This running back class is really fun. There's a lot of really good guys. I mean, you got, Brashard Smith too, somebody that I did a film review on as well. He's someone that I think is really fun and could be a really good running back in this draft class as well. So I'm curious to know what you guys' thoughts are. But keep an eye out. I got a lot of really good film reviews coming. I also am going to break down the next skill position I'm gonna do for my top 10 is going to be tight ends, and then we're going to move on to the wide receivers shortly after that. I'm just still looking at a lot of different film, putting some things together to really put those through, because those positions are really stacked as well. So I appreciate y'all, man. Hope y'all enjoy the Super Bowl and spend it with those you love the most. And until next time, guys, y'all take it easy and peace out.